everyone, and thank you for joining our webinar today on how to create more valuable onboarding meetings for clients with insurance reviews. So this webinar is put on in partnership with Policygenius Pro, and of course, the workflows are powered by Hubly. So I'll give you a quick overview of what we will be chatting about today. So we'll do introductions first to introduce our speakers and a little bit about the software as well that you'll be seeing today. And then we'll jump into common challenges with insurance reviews that many advisors are facing. And then we'll turn it around and be a bit more optimistic and talk about the benefits of including insurance reviews during client onboarding. We'll also have a live demo of how you can use Hubly and Policygenius Pro together to incorporate insurance reviews into client onboarding meetings. And we'll have a live Q&A at the end. So I'll introduce our speakers. So from Hubly, we have Ron Gordetsky, the co-founder and COO of Hubly. Ron is passionate about helping financial advisors scale their businesses without having anything slip through the cracks. And we are joined by Andy Baxter. Welcome, Andy. He is the Partner Success Manager at Policygenius Pro, and he is responsible for working with financial advisors to help them get their clients covered through Policygenius Pro platform. And we have Blair Owens, who is the customer experience lead at Hubly. So many of you may be familiar with Blair already, as he's always in the Hubly app chat, helping answer your questions, and he'll be doing something similar today by answering your questions in the webinar chat. So without further ado, Ron, would you be able to take this over and give a little bit of an overview of what Hubly is for our audience?
Awesome. Thank you so much, Tessa. Welcome in, everyone. For those of you who are not familiar with Hubly, Hubly is a process management system. It brings efficiency in documentation and visibility across your firm. Teams typically look at Hubly as a solution to ensure that they deliver on the promises to the clients, and that they can work together in one integrated system so that nothing really slips through the cracks in our fast-paced world. The Hubly software works in tandem with your CRM, pulling in relevant data that you need to launch client service workflows, to automate scheduling and other routine processes, and identify planning opportunities based on segmentation, age milestones, and other important client data. Andy, before we jump in, how about you tell us a little bit here about Policygenius Pro?
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Ron. If you wouldn't mind going to the next slide as well, please. So just as some context for everybody on the call around Policygenius and Policygenius Pro, if you're not familiar with us, Policygenius was founded in 2014. And since then, we have grown to become the largest term life insurance broker in the country. And really, that was built off of the success of our direct-to-consumer platform, right? We play very well in the SEO space, have a lot of great content around insurance to help educate our clients, and then also have a lot of great digital partnerships to drive traffic to the Policygenius site. So over time, we built this pretty remarkable term life insurance fulfillment engine, having written hundreds of thousands of term life insurance cases to help clients get coverage quickly, efficiently, and with a great experience. About 2 years ago, we launched Policygenius Pro, which is essentially an advisor-facing partnerships program whereby we allow our partners like yourself to tap directly into that Policygenius fulfillment platform and help your clients get coverage with the Policygenius technology and human expertise while allowing you to do less work and focus on other core pieces of your business. Ron, next slide, please. So how the Policygenius Pro platform works is that whenever you have a client in need of term life insurance, you can log into the Policygenius Pro platform, run quotes across the carriers on the Policygenius portal, schedule a call for that client to speak with one of our licensed non-commissioned agents, and then you can hit submit for the ticket. Essentially, to help a client get term life insurance coverage from an administrative standpoint, that is really where your work begins and ends, and our team can step in to handle that fulfillment burden for you. So our team will call out to the client, complete the application with your client over the phone, help schedule medical exams as needed, and can even in some instances help take the Part 2 carrier health interview on the carrier's behalf. From there, we provide full underwriting support, everything from chasing down APS requests to notifying the client of any requirements that have been posted. And if there's a decline or table rating, we can help proactively reshop that across our carrier set for ultimately delivering that policy and helping it be placed in force. And throughout with our CRM system, we have friendly reminders throughout the entire process to help stay top of mind without being overly pushy, so you can be confident that when making a referral to Policygenius Pro, they've got a better chance of getting that coverage through us than they would anywhere else in the market. Next slide, please, Ron. And here's just an overview of the carriers that we offer on our platform. We currently have 10 carriers on our platform that can offer fully underwritten term life insurance offerings. And one of the things that makes us really unique as well is how we partner with our carriers and integrate directly into accelerated underwriting systems. For example, we have a proprietary relationship with Bright House Financial, whereby clients can up to $3 million in coverage in as little as 48 hours and receive an instant decision for that product over the phone. We also work in a pretty interesting way with Legal in General, or Banner Life, as you may know them as well, to, again, provide instant decisions for clients who qualify, and those policies can actually be in place in really under an hour in some instances as well, and final expense options for those who may need it. And the right-hand side of the slide is related, meant to show that if you've got a client in need of term life insurance coverage, given the marketplace approach that we brought to the market, there's very few times when we can't at least get an offer for clients who would otherwise qualify.
Awesome, Andy. So given your experience working with advisors and helping them through insurance reviews, what are some of the common challenges that you've seen advisors face?
Yeah, so when speaking with a lot of advisors, a lot of folks will avoid term life insurance altogether for one reason or another, just because it can, a lot of legacy systems are very burdensome and it can really be a challenge. So when speaking with advisors, one thing that I've found is that when people or advisors will leave clients to their own devices, that can open up some potential issues, right? Around if you recommend that a client goes to get a term life insurance policy, let's say, $1 million in coverage over 20 years, when leaving them to their own devices, right? People out in the market can cross-sell them, they can upsell them, right? You might recommend $1 million over 20 fixed term. They may come back with $200,000 in whole life coverage, right? Or an annuity or an IUL or something like that, right? So really leaves some kind of gaps in that overall client relationship. And some of these other folks out in the market, right, can start off the conversation with insurance, but also have financial planning services that they offer, right? So can also be a bit of a client protection risk there as well when leaving clients their own devices out there within the market. Next is that overlooking the benefits of including insurance within that holistic financial plan. So again, some folks when talking about insurance, they either don't feel confident having those discussions or just can want to rip their hair out, right, when using some other solutions when talking around term life insurance. But that can leave pretty significant gaps in a client's overall financial plan, right? So you're taking all of this time to construct that financial plan, making sure that you have risk management taken care of as well to help protect that in case something really catastrophic happens is really critical to making sure the client has that adequate protection to, again, protect really everything that you've worked with that client to build. And then lastly, is like I mentioned, some of these legacy term life insurance solutions, they can be incredibly time intensive. They can be very slow with a lot of back and forth and work involved on your part as the advisor, whether you carry an insurance license or you don't, right? And then also doesn't give you much pricing visibility up front, a lot of these solutions, or transparency across the funnel, right? So you may recommend that a client goes to get term life insurance coverage. You can kind of just cross your fingers and hope that they go and take you up on your advice. But with a lot of existing systems, there's no way to actually know whether or not they've acted on the advice that you provided, or if they have, what actually they end up buying, right? So again, like I mentioned, you could recommend they get that $1 million over 20 fixed, but it's really hard to actually monitor the status of that application with a lot of these existing systems.
No, for sure. And we've seen many firms struggle with a lot of these challenges ourselves as well. So seeing these challenges, how does including insurance reviews as a part of the advisor's client onboarding process actually help them deliver a better client experience in the end?
Yeah, so we find that the onboarding process is a really, really opportune time to have conversations with clients around insurance, and specifically term life insurance, right? It's a really good opportunity to see what coverage clients already have in place, right? If before they were working with you, they already got that million over 20, right? Maybe they're adequately insured, but it's a great time just to make sure that you know what existing coverage they have in place, or understand what group life coverage they may have in place through their employer, and where you may need to start to fill some of these gaps. So by incorporating it within that initial onboarding process, that allows you to create one additional touch point with the client and really work to get your hands across more pieces of that client's overall financial picture. The more pieces of that overall financial picture that you can touch, we find that creates stickier relationships, right? And helps build trust in a really, really simple and straightforward manner by having insurance worked into that initial onboarding conversations. Next is, like I mentioned, right? As you start to create this financial plan during that onboarding process, making sure that you tie risk management into that as a fast follow through that process is also really, really critical while it's top of mind, right? Also, as you build out that term life, or as you build out that financial plan, that's also a great opportunity to ask, right? What if something happens to you, right? And that's how you can start to get the ball rolling on that term life insurance conversation as well, to help the client also understand why it's such an important part of that financial plan, and really the benefits of going and protecting that as well for that client's family. And then also, right, as you go through the onboarding process, this is just a really, really easy way to build trust and get that quick win, right? Early on by having that conversation with the client. So again, like I mentioned, it can help create deeper and stickier client relationships by really working to get your hands across more pieces of that financial picture, and really establish yourself as an expert across the board there.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Andy. And I know that we've worked hard to build out both workflow templates for Policygenius Pro insurance workflows and for that new client onboarding experience. So I'd love to jump in to Hubly here and show you exactly what that looks like, so you can follow along and see for yourself. So Hubly makes it easy to manage every aspect of your client service relationship. And with our customizable pre-built workflow templates, taking new prospects from leads all the way through your various steps in the onboarding process, through the various meetings that you have as an advisor and as a team with that client, and right into that plan delivery meeting and plan implementation is a straightforward process. These templates are really created to break down that funnel into the different stages that the client's already in. It helps you customize the conversation topics that you have in that experience that you deliver, and really create a consistent experience between every client that you onboard and improve it along the way as well. As you simplify some of these services that you deliver, such as having easier access to some more complicated insurance conversations, Hubly creates an opportunity to not only present and review that financial plan, but actually take that financial plan from that final plan review meeting and into that insurance implementation conversation with one simple step. Let's take a look at Amanda Brown for this example. Amanda Brown is a prospect or a new client now who's made it all the way from your prospect lead funnel through all those different meetings that you have, has made it through document collection, goals setting, and financial plan creation. And in this case, you would have just completed that plan delivery meeting with Amanda. You've sent that follow-up email, you've added your meeting notes, and now it's time to add Amanda into the next workflows for the action items that you recorded. So for this example, we're going to take a look at life insurance, specifically with the Policygenius Pro platform. In Hubly, sending Amanda into that new workflow is a breeze. You simply navigate to the current workflow that Amanda's in, which is that financial plan review meeting. And then you would go ahead and find your Policygenius Pro template workflows. In this case, with Amanda, we discussed that term life package. Maybe it's that 1 million over 20. So we're going to go ahead and select that workflow from the list. And we have the option of either scheduling that conversation to a future date. For example, if you're stuck in the middle of tax prep season, you might discuss with Amanda that you're going to implement this plan come May. But luckily, we've all made it through tax season this year. So we're actually going to go ahead and add Amanda to this workflow right now. So starting Amanda in this pre-built workflow template from Policygenius Pro is as simple as that one click. Here, you're going to see all of the steps curated by Andy and his team to match the seamless process in the Policygenius Pro platform. What you're also going to see here is the human process. That needs discussion conversation that you might want to have, along with a detailed description and linked resources that might help you actually guide that conversation or answer specific questions or prepare for those questions right from the Policygenius Pro platform. Once you've completed the conversation with a client or someone on your team has, you or they would just check it off. Everybody would be able to see exactly where that client is at through that term life adoption process. We also know that collecting the right information can sometimes be a black hole. You get 95% of it, but then you forgot to ask them if they're a smoker or a non-smoker, for example. So that's why with this template, there are no surprises. You know exactly what information you're going to need to complete that quote and that full insurance in the Policygenius Pro platform. And as with everything else in Hubly, this workflow is fully customizable for Amanda Brown, which means that you can make changes. You can go in and you can actually begin to fill out the different information, such as the state, tobacco use, and all the other information that you know you're going to need. Information that's already readily available for you in Hubly and brought over from the CRM can just quickly be copied right over. And other information is available to you with one click. Depending on the CRM you use, you're going to see that button up here. You're going to be able to see the rest of that client's information right there, one click away in a new tab. Once this information is pre-filled, you can go over. By you or somebody in your team, everybody will see that that is now ready. And whoever's responsible for the next step to make the submission in the Policygenius Pro platform can go over into the partner portal, log in, and then quickly generate that quote or submit the full application. You can follow along that client's journey every step of the way in the Policygenius Pro platform, which Andy's going to show you in just a moment here. And once that policy is placed in force and the coverage is activated, you can always save it down right into the client card in Hubly under the attachment section right here. That makes it really easy for you to see the latest policy or the most recent changes that the client has made or you've made with the client at a glance, no matter what stage of that onboarding process or the client review cycle Amanda goes on to be in. It makes it really easy for everyone on the team to stay on the same page. And as your process evolves, or if you'd like to customize this templated workflow for Policygenius Pro to better suit your team or the delegation of tasks, maybe you're not doing all these steps yourself, you can do that as well in Hubly. You simply switch over to your Policygenius Pro insurance templates, which are yours to customize once they're in your hub. You can edit that template and then go ahead and change the assignment of various tasks. Maybe your service associate will help you with the basic client information collection, as well as making sure that it gets saved down at the very end. It makes it really easy for you to route work and plan that routing of work as you and your team go on to scale that client experience long-term. Andy, I'd love to pass it over to you now to demonstrate how easy it is to take the client through that term life insurance process right in the Policygenius Pro platform.
Awesome. Thank you, Ron. So I'm going to steal the screen share here. So essentially, whenever you are ready to move forward and get started with Policygenius Pro, this is what your advisor dashboard will look like. So within this advisor dashboard, there's a couple options through which you can get the ball rolling on your client's term life insurance application. The first is just our standard drop ticket. This one does not have access to our quoter. This is if you just like to really just kind of go ahead and make that quick refer here. So this will include just the client's first and last name, gender, DOB, state, phone, email. If you'd like, that is all of the information that you have to put in to get started. However, understand this is really all around financial planning, right? So as you have the conversation with the client and uncover those needs, you can put in the coverage amount and term length that you'd like them to apply for, add in any notes. For example, if you know that their spouse is also looking for coverage, if they're a Spanish speaker, for example, these are all great things to indicate in here. Once you hit submit, that is all of the work that you have to do from an administrative perspective to get the ball rolling on that client's term life insurance application. Like Ron was saying, if you'd like to be a little bit more hands-on here and actually run quotes for that client across the carriers on our platform, let's say you've got a client in generally good health, and we'll stick with that $1 million in coverage over 20 years example. You can actually run quotes for the carriers across the Policygenius platform, and this all updates in virtually real time. So this is a pretty powerful tool to have in your hands, just to give your clients some initial pricing transparency across their various options and the carriers on the Policygenius Pro platform. Like I mentioned, this toggles by health class, coverage amount, and term length, right? So if your client is eligible for different coverage amounts or is exploring different term lengths, again, a great way, just provide them with the full scope of their options across the carriers on our platform. Let's say the client's interested in moving forward with that banner product that I mentioned earlier. If you hit select here, this will port directly into our drop tickets. When it hits our system, it will show your name, your firm name, and your initial recommendation here, all to get started. So once you have a client ready to go, we'll use test make test here, and then we'll put in some basic information. All right, if you hit submit, this will go directly into our CRM system and will give you the option to actually schedule a call with the Policygenius team. Let's say your client's available after work tomorrow. You can actually scroll down here, schedule the time, and this will go directly onto that client's calendar. So they're ready and expecting the call from the Policygenius team. Again, this provides a much nicer client experience, given that we're not playing phone tag with them and we can call at a time that we know they're going to be ready. If the client's plans change and we miss them for whatever reason, we'll also follow up over email to send them a link to allow them to schedule on their own time. One thing that Ron mentioned, as you follow along with the case, you'll have access to our case status dashboard as well. So this will include every referral that you make to Policygenius, including our friend here that we just submitted. This will include the client's name, application stage and status, term length, coverage amount, and annual premium, along with the status of that client's medical exam, whether or not they've signed their application, and the status of any APS requests as applicable. One thing I want to note that's very, very important is if you have an admin on your team that's also interested in keeping and monitoring all of this for you, we can set up admin views to see across your entire team and assistant views to allow the assistants to make referrals on behalf of you as the advisor as well. And we also have email update functionality. So like Ron said, as you want to check boxes off as they move through the application process, those will all be through push notifications over email as well, if you don't even want to go back and into the portal to get those updates. So again, as applications are submitted to the carrier, as that coverage is bound, those will all be pushed out to you proactively. And should you have any additional questions, you can reach out to our partner success team, who will answer those chat questions live in the chat here. So Ron, I will kick the screen share back over to you.
Awesome. Andy, thank you so much. That was fantastic. For those of you on the call who have not worked with Policygenius Pro, Andy, could you tell them how to get started with Policygenius Pro?
Absolutely. So if you go to the next slide, there's a link you can click here. And I know Blair is also going to send something through in the chat as well. This is essentially our opt-in page. So if you are interested in getting started or learning more about Policygenius Pro, you can just put in your basic contact information, and a member of our team will reach out to walk you through the steps you need to take in the onboarding process and help you get the ball rolling to get started with Policygenius Pro. We make our onboarding process a breeze. Takes maybe 5 to 15 minutes of your time just to get started and put carrier appointments in place if needed. But other than that, it's a very, very straightforward onboarding process. And this is open to advisors who both carry insurance licenses and those who do not carry insurance licenses as well. So.
Fantastic. And for those of you on the call who are Policygenius Pro users and Hubly users as well, you can actually get these workflow templates in Hubly. Simply message us in the chat and we'll get the template delivered right into your hub. For those of you who are not Policygenius Pro users yet, you would also follow that link in the slide before, and you can go ahead and register for that training with Andy on the Policygenius Pro platform, and you can message us in the chat here in Hubly to get those templates as well. And for those of you who are not Hubly users yet, if you have questions and you'd be curious to find out more, you can book a call at myhubly.com. Awesome. At this point, I will hand things over to Blair, who has been monitoring our chat, monitoring our Q&A to see if any questions have come in. If you have any questions that you haven't had a chance to submit yet, please make sure to open up that Q&A box somewhere underneath where you see me or the share screen, and you should be able to go ahead and submit your questions there to be answered as well. Blair, over to you.
All right, Andy. So we got a question here. Do you foresee Policygenius having the ability to offer other types of insurance in the future, like WL, GUL, et cetera?
It's a great question. So we do offer some of those products through our direct-to-consumer model. Those are not built out for Policygenius Pro just yet. However, if you do have a client that is interested, you can always reach out to our partner success team and we can help make sure that gets funneled over to the right team. Same goes for disability insurance, which we can also offer within the portal at this point in time for those who are interested.
And we've seen some clients or some advisors and teams also build out workflows for those direct-to-consumer products from Policygenius Pro, because again, since everything is digital first, it makes it really easy for you to help and project manage your client and applying through these different products. And you can track the progress right there in Hubly, so the whole team can deliver that experience consistently along the way as well. So there's a really good way to basically still make sure your client has all the coverage they need with Policygenius Pro, and Hubly can help with that as well.
Awesome. Another question here from Fabio. Does Policygenius offer any ancillary services for small business owners?
We do not offer any business insurance necessarily, but we do offer, like small business insurance or anything like that. But we do offer key man policies and business owner type policies as well. So those are certainly available if you do have any clients who are business owners who are looking to put those types of policies in place. We can certainly help out with any of those.
All right, great. And we got another question here from Christy. Does Policygenius Pro link directly to our appropriate back office new business teams, for example, Crump, Premier Brokerage, et cetera, for new life applications to ensure compliance and proper payment to the advisor?
So Policygenius is actually a separate GA from those. So essentially this would be outside of those other processes like a Crump or a Premier Brokerage, for example. So essentially all payment would be coming directly from the Policygenius team, serving as the paymaster. If you do serve with there are some other broker dealers and other organizations that we have access to and relationships with, so we can coordinate carrier-driven payments if that's something that would be of interest as well. But those are all things that we can discuss in further detail during onboarding calls to get started. So,
Wonderful. And we got a couple questions about their clients receiving calls. So the question is, will client information remain private and not shared so that they won't get direct calls from other products?
Yeah, so Policygenius, we do not sell your client's information. Essentially by going through Policygenius, we're not one of those sort of lead aggregators that takes a client's information, then goes and sells it all to these different carriers, right? So everything stays within the Policygenius domain in that instance, right? So you don't have to worry about your client getting a million calls from all these different carriers after submitting your information. I saw another question around how kind of that marketing differs from the direct to consumer side of the business. So we understand that clients coming to us through Policygenius Pro, right, with that advisor relationship is a different type of customer than those coming to us through the direct to consumer platform. Therefore, we interact with those clients differently, right? So we definitely have a softer touch email cadence there within that platform, right? Understanding that clients don't want to hear from us too frequently there, right? And don't want to be cross-sold. So we have limitations in place around all of those things for Policygenius Pro clients.
Great, thanks, Andy. That's all the questions we have for now.
Some awesome questions today and great answers as well, Andy. Thank you so much, Blair, for curating those and answering those questions also live where you could. Thank you all for attending today.
Thanks, everyone.